Tony's living in Brighton still. Yeah, we do exist, we do. This was my playground when I was young, going to the seafront. I wanted to be a marine biologist. Does anybody remember the Brighton Dolphinarium? Yeah, bleak, wasn't it? Bleak place. It's now the Sea Life Centre, and I'm pretty sure that it's the oldest aquarium in the world. That's quite a nice fact, if it is a fact. Do check me. But it's a beautiful, beautiful building, and I used to go there quite a lot. Used to go to the seafront, used to do beach combing, and used to go to the Brighton Dolphinarium, and I wanted to be a marine biologist. And back then when I was a kid, you didn't think that you would move anywhere else. You would obviously just grow up, you'd become educated, and you'd work in your city, or town as it was back then. And I looked at the Brighton Dolphinarium, I thought, yeah, no, that's not California. So I thought, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I actually ended up doing interior architecture at Brighton University. So that was back in, graduated 2002, and since then I've got a multitude of different hats, like many of us do now. Very rarely does everybody have just like one job and interest. So here are a few of mine. So I run a design studio. It's a circular economy design studio, interior architecture. We do lots of weird and wonderful things, which I'll talk a little bit about. I'm also a lecturer at the University of Sussex, which is awesome. So I get to teach the product designers and the engineers about circular design and regenerative design and sustainability. I'm also a member of the Global Ghost Gear Initiative. Now, this is a term that probably not many of you have heard. Does anybody know the term ghost gear? Oh, yeah, a couple of people. Oh, this is good. I will be questioning you later. So ghost gear is basically the term that's given to lost, abandoned, or otherwise discarded fishing gear. ALDFUG is the really catchy acronym we have for that. And this is the bits and pieces like you find on the seafront of fishing nets. It might be buoys, it might be all sorts. So the Global Ghost Gear Initiative is a global organisation that looks at how that can be, nets can be tracked, how they can be recovered from the ocean, recovered from beaches, and how it can be something useful done with them. I'm also a regional rep for Surfers Against Sewage. It's a UK-wide charity. It was surfers, just talking about sewage back in the day. Disclaimer, I don't surf, and I don't know a huge amount about poo, but I'm a snowboarder and I can talk a lot about plastic. So that was how I sort of fitted into the team. And we've got a team in Brighton and Hove, variety of skills, and we do all stuff for volunteer for SAS as a group. And I also run a campaign called Plastic Free Pledge, which I'll be talking a little bit about. But basically, a lot of the stuff that I do as far as my research area as a designer is around plastic. So this is the big message I want to get across today. Plastic is not bad. Regardless of what you might have heard, plastic is not bad. It's actually freaking awesome. It's brilliant. But that is the problem in itself. And the problem itself is actually a really freaking scary problem. As you all know, there's not one person in this room who doesn't know the impacts of plastic on the environment, and particularly on the marine environment. But I'm going to make you even more sad with a few facts that you might or might not know. Don't worry, this talk is in two halves. It is very sad to begin with, and then it gets better. I promise you. So this is one fact. Over 8 million tonnes of plastic enter our ocean every year, which is the equivalent to one garbage truck full per minute. Some stats say 9 million, some stats say 12 million. How do you measure something that's almost impossible to measure? That's the trouble. But we do know where it goes. That's useful. So basically these are the gyres. So these are convergent currents that connect across the globe. There's only two things that connect us all across the globe. One is air and one is water. So these are the gyres that actually convergent currents, and basically everything very much like a vortex, like a tornado, everything that is on the outside gets drawn in over a certain period of time. And we know, and there's been studies done where things have travelled a certain distance over a certain time. In the UK, we get stuff that's spat out of one of the gyres, and we get stuff picked up on beach cleans that have come from particularly Canada. Really interesting to get cod tags and things from Canada. So you can track where debris goes, whether it's synthetic or whether it's actually biological. Now, when people see this, when I give a talk, they go, well, if you know where it is, just go and pick it up. It's like when somebody says, you know, when you've lost something, well, where did you lose it? Well, I don't know, because I've lost it. If you know where plastic is, you should go and pick it up, right? Some people are trying to do that, but this is the problem. It's a really blurry picture, apologies. We can't hoover it up, because it looks like this. Not blurry, but tiny, tiny little pieces. So this is what we call microplastics, or even nanoplastics. They're very, very small, and they have different densities to them. So they basically scatter themselves down the water column from being surface all the way down to the very, very bottom of the deepest depths of our ocean. You can't hoover up something that's scattered across the whole depth of the water column and is also the same size as plankton, because plankton is actually the base of our food chain. So if you're hoovering up something that is the same size, you're going to be disrupting the food chain itself. So it's a lot trickier than you might think. Who in the audience has eaten mussels in the last year? A few of you. Congratulations, you have definitely eaten microplastic. 100% of the mussels that are surveyed in the UK, this is in 2018, so this isn't that too far away, actually contained microplastics themselves. And this is because mussels and shellfish, they're filter feeders. So basically they're shoveling in all of the seawater as it goes past, and that contains everything that happens to be passing by, including plastics. Now, plastics themselves are quite dangerous, we think. There's lots of studies that are coming out, particularly from America, that are looking at how plastic can cross the blood-brain barrier. There's lots of toxins that are attached to plastic, and this is perhaps where the most dangerous things are. Because a lot of chemicals that float around the open ocean are hydrophobic, and the best way to describe this is that, you know when you do like a spaghetti bolognese or a lasagna or something like that, and you get the tomato sauce and it sort of sticks to the side of your washing up bowl? That's because it's a hydrophobic part of your lasagna. It doesn't want to be free floating around in your washing up bowl. It wants to stick to something solid. So your washing up bowl is the solid bit. Unfortunately, in the open ocean, what's the thing that is solid and is around for a very, very long time, because we get to outlive any piece of plastic that ever has existed, unless we've burnt it? Plastic. So you get multitudes of chemicals and nasty stuff attached to the plastic. You don't know what it is, basically. And of course, that goes into the fish, and then the little fish, and then the bigger fish, and the bigger fish. And generally, as a species, we tend to eat the big, tasty fish. I'm vegetarian, and actually part of my research has actually made me vegetarian again in the last 2 years. But we eat the big fish, we eat things like the tuna and stuff like that. So that's where all of the chemicals have been able to accumulate over a long period of time and go into the fatty tissues, which is, of course, the tasty bit. So that's a bit nasty, a bit depressing. And another fact that came out, it was more of a statement than a fact. This came from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and it was a report a few years ago now, so it's being disputed. It's saying if we carry on in this nature of throwing stuff away and having plastic in the ocean, there'll be more plastic than fish by weight in our oceans by 2050. Now this statistic is one that we quite often see told slightly wrong. People say there's going to be more plastic than fish. But if we think about fish, this is the biggest fish we have on our ocean. So that's one adult whale shark. So that could be 19,000 kilograms, which is equivalent to 150,000 empty 1 litre plastic bottles. So it's not one fish per one piece of plastic. It's maybe even more depressing than that. In fact, it's incredibly depressing. So that's the depressing part. There is actually a lot of positive stuff going on. Honestly, I promise you. So how do you make something that's positive from the problem? And I think what was lovely about the question that you got earlier on about who is the Jesus of our time, I actually sat at the back and I was thinking, who would be my Jesus of the time? Again, I'm not religious at all in that sense. And for me, it would be David Attenborough. Because he has been an influential person, particularly in my life, and a lot of people are the same. He is maybe the person who has got the issues with plastic into the mainstream by talking through the programmes that he did. And Wildlife on One was very influential for me as a youngster, and now the Blue Planet. And Blue Planet as a series was something that really struck home to people who maybe hadn't considered this. I mean, so I'm a plastic nerd, I've been talking about this for 10 years. He actually got everybody thinking about their own issues, their own ways of working, their own ways of living, and how that could have an implication. So I'm actually, as I said earlier on, I'm a regional rep for Surfers Against Sewage. We've got a great gang in Brighton, and we've been talking about this for many years. So it went from sewage to being climate change, to being marine conservation, again plastic. We saw such a huge influx of people wanting to get involved after Blue Planet 2, coming along going, I had no idea, I'd never really thought about this, and people started to ask questions, what do I do, how can I get involved, how do I come on a beach clean? And of course, that's brilliant. You have beach cleans that run all the way around the UK, SAS-related ones, there's lots of other charities that do it over every single weekend or at different points of the year. And that is awesome. If you can go on a beach clean, go on a beach clean. It's very simple. If it shouldn't be on the beach, pick it up. That's the length of my safety talk. It's great fun, and as long as it's not raining and horrendous, you'll have a good laugh. But beach cleans are basically not the answer. So if you had a bathtub and it was overfilling, and you said you just thought of it rushing into your bathroom, what would you do first? Would you start bailing it out with a teaspoon? Or would you turn the tap off? You'd turn the tap off. A beach clean is basically the teaspoon. That's clearing up the stuff that's already there. It's growing exponentially, we know that. Far more people are getting involved in beach cleans than ever before, but we need to turn off the tap to actually stop it getting there in the first place. It needs both sides. So when I was doing my regional rep stuff, I started thinking about what we could do as a design studio. So we specialise in circular economy design, we specialise in understanding people and how they interact with products and things. And we thought, why don't we just do a campaign? Just like that, because obviously we didn't have anything else to do. So we started something called Plastic Free Pledge, and this is back in 2016. So this is before Blue Planet 2, but we could see that there was this momentum growing through things like Twitter, which again, I agree, is just a hellhole a lot of the time. But we thought, okay, there's lots of plastic that's unnecessary. How can we start people getting into that conversation? So we're like, behold the low-hanging fruit of plastic straws. Now, most of us, if we drink out of a plastic, drink and have a straw, a lot of people would kick up a stink if it's a plastic straw now. We don't really need straws most of the time. 98% of us don't need a straw because we have this magic thing called a mouth that can bend itself around a glass. Some people do need straws for medical reasons, that's completely true, but most of us do not need one. So back in November 2016, we decided to tackle the straw. So here are a few other scary facts for you. We produce about 500 million plastic straws a day. They're used for approximately 20 minutes, and we think the material themselves might last around 600 years. But because we haven't had anybody live for 600 years, and of course it hasn't been 600 years since we initially created them, we don't quite know. Might be forever. So we designed a campaign. We started talking to local venues and local businesses and saying, can we convince you to do something different, maybe only offer straws if people really need them rather than give them obligatory. And before we knew it, we actually had 60 venues in Brighton and Hove. This was supposed to be just for Brighton, not to be exclusive, but that was our base as a SAS people. It was where my studio's based, and we knew the area, so we just wanted to chat to people and spread the word amongst our town. We also got involved in politics, which again is scary, so don't worry, I'm not going into politics. Politics and religion, no, I'm not, neither of those today. So we actually got contacted by our local Green councillor, our Green convener, Fiona McCafferty over in Brighton, and said, do you do politics as well? And we went, no, but let's have a chat. And he explained to us the process about having a council motion. So we got a petition going asking, we want to have a discussion with regards to plastic use, not just straws. And he guided us through the process, and we basically presented a motion with the Green Party and also with the Conservatives to actually encourage the council to think about their own single-use plastic usage and offer guidance to people, particularly businesses, to transition away from single-use plastic. Because we said to them, it's all very well, you bleating on it to everybody else, but you need to get your own house in order. And we had both of them passed unanimously, which was amazing. Incredible moments. The Brighton Hove City Council are going through a whole strategy and framework to actually create these documentations, which we're now involved with helping guide, which is awesome. Then we thought, this is getting a bit bigger than just our quick little campaign. So we had a fantastic friend, Mark Ferguson, a very own studio. He actually created our logo for us. Because it started to feel a little bit more real. Even as designers, it's not real until you have a logo. So that was our Plastic Free Pledge logo, obviously very much about global, uniform, peace, and something like a hand, a hand out to help. More than anything else, you pledge in a religious sense, you pledge on the Bible, but you pledge to each other, you hold each other's hands, you guide people and help. So that's what the branding was about. And before we knew it, we had not just places in Brighton and Hove, but we had places along the coast. Then we had somebody get in contact from Myanmar and say, hey, I've got a resort, can I be on your map? And we went, yeah, awesome. And we weren't charging, we don't now charge anybody to be on the map. The idea is it's a resource that anybody can go on. You basically drop us an email to say, you know, we've cut out this from our venue, from our bar, from our restaurant, from our resort, from our hotel. We go, that's awesome, we trust that you're doing that, we're not going to come and check, and we're going to put you on the map. So then as individuals using these places, you can actually go and look at a map, which you can see on the website. Plasticfreepledge.com, because I don't think it's even up there, that's a bad one. And you can look and see, okay, what's in my local area? If you know someone that's doing something great, you could just email us and go, oh, these people aren't your map, stick them on. And we do. And we had some really big players, really early doors, get in contact. The good thing about Twitter is you can talk to anybody, unless they block you, which has only happened once. I can't remember who blocked me. It was a political figure, because I was just calling them out about something. Anyway, so we got in contact with a few people on Twitter. So we had Jamie Oliver was one of our first early supporters, and so I went onto Twitter and said to the others, "Hey, we're hacker. Jamie's doing this." This wasn't, you know, this is before. This is when all the restaurants were open, obviously, and we weren't at the downfall of the Jamie Oliver. So we got on Twitter and we were saying, hey, we're hacker, Jamie's are doing this, why aren't you? And we said that to a few people. Quite a few people ignored us, that was fair. But actually, Oaxaca and Leon came instantly back. And the guys at Leon tweeted me back and went, can we call you? We've got the sustainability manager in the office. I was like, oh no, I'm really in trouble. But I had a really, really lovely conversation with the sustainability manager, and she was like, this is awesome, what do we pay you? And I'm like, no, you just say you're going to do it and we put you on the map. Oh, that's easy. Yeah, it is. And it was like, well, do you need any help with anything else? Oh yeah, you know, maybe we could do this. And it starts a conversation. And then of course it's that domino effect. As soon as one person's doing it, somebody else does it, and then the conversation opens up. And we also had people self-policing it for us. So I had some quite drunken tweets from people going, hey, at Plastic Free Pledge, I'm in a Leon, and I don't think this is this is plastic, definitely. And I'd be going, oh God, is it? No, that's definitely something different. But people started to take notice and call out the brand, saying, you said you were going to do this, and are you? That's the power of the people, very much like voting with your wallet. That's the good thing about Twitter. So I did say there was going to be some positive stuff. So there was the negative stuff at the beginning. This is where the positive comes. So here's some positive news you may have missed in the news. So many retailers now give you money off your drink when you take in your reusable coffee cup or cup itself. This isn't to do with the levy, that the charge that might be coming in for the 25p per cup, that's still being discussed. But a lot of venues have taken it upon themselves to give you money off or charge you extra. University of Sussex, you have to pay, I think it's 30p extra if you don't bring in your coffee cup. So that's the brilliant news. We do actually have a ban on microplastics. Did you know? In the UK, any cosmetic product that is produced now cannot have a microplastic in. The annoying little loophole here is that if it's a cleaning product, it is currently exempt from the ban. So you're going to have to look at the back of your cleaning products, and particularly if it's like an exfoliating cleaning product, for like drains or something, it might have microplastics in it. So you can look for things like PP, polypropylene, PE, polyethylene, or something similar. So be a bit more vigilant. Many retailers now have switched the stick. This came from a campaign down in Bristol called Switch the Stick by City to Sea. Same guys that were behind the refill project. And now, I mean, I remember when cotton buds had paper things anyway. You know, it wasn't that long ago. Now they've gone back to having paper buds. Whatever the buds are, please don't flush them down the loo. Oh God, the amount of things we find on beach cleans where people are still flushing them is daft. The UK government, as you might know, is consulting on a deposit return scheme at the moment. There's a huge amount of argument around this. Finally, this is something that we're coming back as a great idea. So it means that you might pay a little bit extra in the first instance for something that can be returned. So we're talking about mostly glass, mostly metal and plastic. It's particular types of plastic. But then as soon as you bring it back to a designated place, which is usually in a supermarket or somewhere sort of relatively local to where you're going to be, not far afield, you get your money back. We don't exactly what's going to be looking like, but Scotland's already doing this. Iceland's committed to being single-use plastic free across its entire range by 2023. Amazing. Waitrose is going to be removing plastic bags from spring 2019, fruit and veg bags, and Morrison's also trialling paper bags instead of single-use plastic bags. As a really quick aside to this, paper bags are not the answer to a single-use plastic bag. Paper bag in its single use has 3 times the amount of carbon usage than a single-use plastic bag. So if we're measuring in carbon, a single-use plastic bag is better. Whatever you do, please, make sure you have something that's reusable. So reuse your bag as many times, but even a cotton bag has to be used 131 times until it has the same amount of carbon footprint as a single-use plastic bag. But reuse is the answer, not replacing one single use with another single use. So it's positive, but we all have to be slightly more informed because at the moment it's a bit of a grey area. And of course, you're all here too, which is really positive. And I would really thank you for listening to me for the last over 15 minutes, sorry. And if you want to say hi, I am on Twitter, @ClarePotter, and you can get me on my studio address as well. And the campaign is Plastic Free Pledge. Thank you very much.